Question 2. When are roadways most slippery? Now, okay, there are 3 answers, none of which are correct. The correct answer is when covered by a film of liquid sufficient to reduce the coefficient of static friction between the tire and the road to essentially 0, but not so deep as to introduce a new source of friction.
Here's your learner's permit. Go away.
But I'm not done. I have many additional concerns about these questions.
Don't make me climb over this counter.
All right, come on. Let's go.
You've been trying to really hide your hand when it comes down to this person really annoying you, okay? It could be coming out in sarcasm, like, okay, yeah, you know what? Give me a second. Give me a chance to, like, read my email. Let me sort of get settled in my desk. This person is very selfish when it comes down to their own personal needs, okay? When it comes down to their personal needs and how they perceive situation, it's only from one perspective. So you guys are noticing that as time moves on and you're like, I'm just not feeling this, okay? You've been trying to distance yourself from this individual. You've been trying to have it in a way where it's like, you know, heavily aligned with your boundaries, heavily aligned with your communication style. And this person's still just not taking the hint that, you know, that you want to have your own personal boundaries in the room, okay? You don't want to have this person just really, you know, all in your space without really looking at you to say, okay, you know, let me make sure that I'm not like overwhelming this person, okay? This person's energy can be very overwhelming. And they're realizing that, oh, maybe I'm being a little bit difficult. You know, it's finally clicking in. I think this person's really looking to question why there's like a disconnect. And you guys are like, you know, there's no reason to question it. I'm just trying to keep this professional. This person, they're not my favorite person in the room. I could work around them, but you have your own things going on in your own world, okay? You have your own goals you're trying to accomplish. You have your own, you know, family matters that you're trying to, you know, work on. So you guys could do your job, you tunnel vision in, and once it's time to go, it's time to go, okay? You leave, you disconnect. This person loves the drama. They love the drama. They like to be in the middle of dramatic situation, and they like to create dramatic situation as well. And you guys are sitting back like, okay, I'm telling you about yourself. This is too much.
Too much!
You guys are also probably telling this person you're overwhelming. You're overwhelming the staff, and you're overwhelming me with, you know, some of your behaviors. And, you know, they're finally seeing themselves from a different type of lens, okay? And with this affirmation, this person wants to be in this affirmation space all the time, okay? It's like, you know, it has a very narrow viewpoint when it comes down to really, you know, understanding other people's emotional needs, okay? So, like, for them, they feel that everybody wants attention. Everyone wants to have that pat on the back, or they want to have that validation. They don't understand that some people want to approach their day in a calm type of perspective, okay? This person may say, hey, you know what, let's start the day with an icebreaker, okay? Or let me start the day with a joke. And you're like, let me just start the day with my morning coffee, or let me check my emails calmly, okay? They don't understand that. I believe this line energy can have more so an extroverted personality. They don't understand how an introverted or an ambivert personality works, where, you know, you don't have to come into the room, you know, being the center of the show, okay? And this person slowly realizing, okay, with my antics, I'm turning this person off in my work environment, okay? This person's probably like, you know, they're not happy with how things are going, okay? Behind this sarcasm, they're just thinking that you were being sarcastic to be sarcastic, but they're realizing, okay, no, this sarcasm, this dry humor is really the truth behind it. They're not happy with how our interaction is going, okay? And with them, instead of like, you know, taking a step back to say, hey, let me just sort of like calm down my energy. Let me sort of like remove myself from this person's space and just give them a chance to, like, you know, be their own person, give a chance to, you know, develop the relationship in an organic way, okay, that has respect for your boundaries and your work environment. They want to, like, you know, rush in and say, oh, well, let's fix it this way. Because they only think about it from their one perspective. They only think about it from how they would like to be approached when something is wrong, okay? They want to be hands in, okay? You could be dealing with a masculine energy, okay? And sometimes with masculine energy, it doesn't really understand that, you know, sometimes issues or, you know, communication issues are best to be, you know, of course, talked about, but, you know, let me not go into fix it mode. Let me sort of like, you know, look at this person to say, hey, what are some things that they like in their environment, in their space, okay? I don't need to go overboard or feel like, let me fix it and make sure things are just like in a proper puzzle piece on the board. Having the wisdom to say, let me make the proper call without being so let's fix this now, okay? You guys are finally letting this person know you're shining the light on a situation in February where you're like, you know what? I've been dancing along with the issue at hand. I've probably not been addressing how I feel in this environment. You guys are shedding light to it. You're like, listen, okay, this affirmation, we get along, we work well, but you can't come in, trying to force your behavior or force your type of method of communication on everybody in your environment. This is not going to work. Okay, you're telling this person bluntly, you're telling this person and really keeping it real about the situation that, their behavior and of course, there's time and place for, being energetic or being one that's more so collaborative with the team in in different ways. It could be having that extrovert energy and put it in the right type of space. It's a time and a place. Okay. And you guys are basically telling this person, hey, me and you are completely different. Okay, I got respect for you, but you don't have to go into fixing mode. Okay, this approval mode. You're letting this person know that, unbeknownst to them, they like to have a lot of validation in their work environment. It's kind of like an addiction to wanting to have their back rubbed. Okay, to say everything's going great, you're a good person, and then you guys probably are in this environment with this person where if they don't get that type of attention, then it's like they go into this victim mentality where it's like, oh, I guess I'm not great, I guess I'm not doing things in a proper way, and you're like, you know what, I'm seeing what you're trying to do, okay? I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to get some type of pat on the back, some type of shoulder rub to say, okay, things are going well when you do it, but you're like, you know what, you do your job. You do an amazing job when it comes down to what you bring to the team. However, I'm not going to keep giving you this, this needless validation while we're working together, okay? You're not going to, drain me dry and be in my shadow everywhere we going off. You guys look around, you probably see this person in the corner. You're like, okay, this person's looking to get their praise, looking to get their ego stroked, and you're like, I'm not doing this for you, okay? You guys are shedding light to how you want to navigate with the proper communication in your environment, okay? You guys are no longer hiding behind the dry humor. You're no longer hiding behind the wit. You guys are taking it in your own hands and say, hey, it's time to address the elephant in the room as far as how we need to move forward with, our interactions, respecting my boundaries in the environment and not having me feel overwhelmed by this, extrovert energy that's in your environment, okay? Let's move on to the tarot deck here to just go a little bit further. Let's see here. Okay, you got the Ace of Pentacles, okay? Three of Cups. And with that communication, it's going to shed a good light to the situation because this person, unbeknownst to you, they don't really realize how fixated they can get in their environment. They don't really realize how they could just be so in need of validation that it just becomes overwhelming for people to really just tolerate, okay? Let's go further. So we have Page of Wands. Oh, let's see. Taking this, we have Wheel of Fortune in reverse. We have Two of Pentacles, and we have Eight of Swords, okay? Pull a few more cards. All right, so we have, let's see here, Two of Swords in reverse, and we have here the Eight of Wands in reverse. Pull two more cards here. All right, we got the Emperor card that came out. You guys showing up as the Emperor. And one more card. We have the Two of Wands in reverse, okay? Like I said, you guys are shedding wisdom in the situation. You're shedding that light in the situation because you're like, okay, with this knowledge, we're going to keep it in a nice, healthy environment, okay? You don't have to prove yourself in every turn going over or beyond your means, okay? Like this, you're letting this person know you're doing your job. You're a great person. You're a great person to work with. You don't have to go about trying to prove yourself to everybody in your space, okay? You bring a lot to the table, but you got to understand that people are not like you, Okay, you're telling this person people are not like you, and you're shedding that wisdom, and you're keeping a happy work environment. Okay, you're still able to fellowship, still able to get your finances in a proper type of way, with being out of that mood energy and not hiding behind like I said, communication that's not direct. You guys are, like I said, shutting that light to bring in that intuition to the situation to say, hey, this has to change. We cannot keep going this way, because what you're doing is you're pissing me off as time is going on. Okay, this person's really rising your temperature a little bit when it comes down to how they go about their presence in your office. Okay, Page of Wands. Okay, they can't come to you as a page. This impulsive energy. This person's not coming to you in a proper type of manner. This is what caused a lot of disconnect with your communication. Okay, and if they were to continue with this page energy, very impulsive, very matter of fact, let's just get to it. Let's just keep moving in a fast and a hurry type of way, and not really looking at other people in their environment to see how they like to be treated or see how they like to be communicated to. This would have caused a lot of loss in the situation. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Okay, they're realizing that you were up in your head trying to say, when's a good time for me to tell this person? You got the Two of Pentacles, because you're going up in your head like, I don't know, are they not getting it? Or, if I say it this way, or if I say like, okay, well, let me just finish my emails, having that dry humor, like, okay, let's just give me a chance to put my coat down, okay, and get logged in before, coming in with your overwhelming energy, okay? You've been trying to say, okay, well, I've been trying to do it in so many ways. Hopefully they get the picture. You guys are like, you know what? I'm not going to be stuck in my head in this situation. You got the Eight of Swords here. You're like, because you've been allowing this behavior to have you like, well, I don't know what's going on. It's been having you sort of like, thinking about it after work, or bringing it up towards other people in your environment, where it's like, other friends that you talk to outside of work. And you're like, no more of that. No more of this Two of Swords perspective. You're finally in reverse here, okay? Two of Swords in reverse, and you're realizing that if things do not change, if I do not address the situation, guess what? I'm going to be gone. And you guys, with you taking the big lesson in the situation with really identifying this person's behavior, you're able to dodge a bullet, and you're still able to expand and grow with your team. Okay, so you got the Eight of Wands in reverse. Okay, because with this, you guys are on that fence to say, okay, it's a time for me to leave. Okay, it's a time for me to sort of get out of Dodge here, because nothing's really changing in a favorable type of way. And you guys are realizing with that open door, with that, that firefly energy to bring in that light to say, hey, this is something we need to discuss and talk about. You are the emperor in the environment. Okay, that's stability. That person knows that, you're not moving or shaking when it comes down to how you want to be treated and how you want to invest in the environment. Some of you guys are telling this person, I have a lot of things going on, okay, while you're trying. It's no need for you to be, Nancy Drew or Scooby-Doo in the room, okay? This is my personal business, okay? You don't have to be over-observant in my life, okay? There's nothing wrong. You don't, like I said, you guys are basically telling this person, calm your nerves a little bit. I'm okay. Okay, the environment's okay. Just because someone is in a quiet space, okay, if they're more introverted, okay, that doesn't mean that, there's something wrong and there's something that needs to be discussed. You guys are giving this person, another perspective, because they never really quite got this lesson learned, okay? Even though they're big adult age, they never really understood this perspective, because they always, like I said, looked at things from a one-sided lens, their own, okay? And you guys being in this emperor seat, you're like, hey, I'm okay with having those difficult conversations to let the person know that, what, this is definitely something that we're going to address and talk about, because I'm not going to put myself in a situation when I'm running from my environment or being in the head from my environment, okay, that Eight of Swords, when it needs to be just addressing a very straightforward type of way, okay? You guys are no longer looking at options from a place as far as like, oh, I'm going to make this hasty decision because someone's getting on my nerves, okay? You're not bringing emotionalism to your next career journey if you're looking to move to another opportunity. If you choose to move to another opportunity, you're doing it from a logical way, saying, hey, this is able for me to grow and to really manifest in another career pathway, okay? You're doing it from a space of knowing what you want on your particular career journey, not from a space where you're just running to get away from a difficult personality.
Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant.